Innovations for Defence Excellence, IDEX, launching the 5th edition of the Defence India Startup Challenge. Situational awareness for mechanized columns. Information in a battlefield environment is extremely complex and rapidly changing. With the rapid development of data collection, reconnaissance and surveillance devices, it has become very crucial to develop an intelligent and integrated platform to receive the information from various sources and visually present the analysis to commanders in real time for swift and better decision making in the battlefield. AR/VR based sortie preparation aid. Aircraft and helicopter pilots often practice fly-throughs and sortie missions. During each of those practice flights, the pilots need to follow and familiarize themselves on various on-ground, during takeoff, in-flight and landing procedures. However, with the high cost of actual flying and very limited access to flight simulators, there is a need for cost-effective AR/VR based training solutions for the pilots. The solution should be easier for pilots to operate, portable and ruggedized for military specifications. AI-based RF spectrum management. The wireless spectrum has been managed and utilized for military communication over many decades through a complex regulatory framework. The current methods of assessing and allocating spectrum are complicated due to the growing level of interdependencies as the number of services that require the band increases exponentially. An advanced and intelligent solution is required to seamlessly manage the spectrum allocation among the services within the military. Precision guided kit for 81 mm mortar ammunition. Infantry battalions use 81 mm mortar as battalion support weapon to provide close fire support to assaulting infantry. The ammunition of the 81 mm mortar has a tendency to disperse at the object or target end, and there is a very limited guidance or aiming equipment to support precision firing. There is a requirement to develop a solution with precision guidance for accurate engagement and reduced collateral damage. Alternate auxiliary power for ICVs. During tactical situations, the infantry combat vehicles are powered off for stealth and utilize the lead-acid batteries to operate the sights, communication equipment, gun travers and dome lights in order to carry out the silent watch of the battlefield without the main engine. The present lead-acid batteries lose power rapidly and degrade rapidly in extreme climate conditions. There is an immediate need for an alternate source-based auxiliary power enabling extended silent operation of the ICVs. Part Task Trainer for Mirage 2000 upgrade aircraft. Part task training devices of aircrafts are used to offload some of the training tasks from the full mission simulators. Part task trainers are ideally used for instrument familiarization and other standard flight operations of an aircraft for training purposes. It is proposed to develop a part task trainer for Mirage 2000 upgrade aircraft with an accurate replica of controls in the cockpit. Wideband HF modem for secure network. RF-based high-frequency communication has become an integral part of modern aircraft's communication systems. There is a need to develop an all-band high-bandwidth digital modem for bidirectional communication of voice, data and video. The modem should be compliant with the military-grade standards with a data rate in excess of 48 kilobytes per second. AR assistance for flight technicians. Aircraft technicians and maintenance personnel refer to manuals and printed checklists during service and maintenance activities. In order to exponentially increase the quality and to reduce the downtime during maintenance, it is recommended that a VR solution is developed which guides the technicians through relevant diagrams and animations to correctly diagnose and perform the intended maintenance activity. Non-lethal devices for stopping vessels at sea. During peacetime, in order to perform visit, board, search and seizure operations on vessels, traditionally a rope with a drogue is launched against the propeller to stop the vessel. Such a system has many shortfalls and is highly inefficient to effectively stop the vessel. A solution is required to stop vessels in sea without causing any permanent damage. Enhancing underwater domain awareness. With the advancements in the submarines, underwater drones and sensor technology, the Navy continuously monitors for threats underwater in the sea. There is a need to develop a comprehensive underwater domain awareness system which combines data from various maritime sensors and assets and presents in a meaningful manner for information consumption. The solution can also be equipped with advanced AI/ML capabilities to detect submarines and other underwater systems. Sensor miniaturization for drones. Mini and micro drones have become an extremely efficient and cost-effective option for short and low-altitude surveillance. The conventional sensors, operational aids used on larger aircrafts need to be miniaturized for their use on the mini and micro drones. It is required to develop miniaturized versions of radars, sensors and navigation aids for implementation on drones and swarm systems. 5G network for M2M communications. Modern ships capture above and underwater situational and tactical data. In order to transmit the data to another ship or back to coast, conventional communication channels are used. Because of the limited bandwidth, it is extremely infeasible to send files, video and image data. There is a need to develop a high bandwidth and secured 5G private network with enhanced bandwidth and capability to support large-scale machine-to-machine communications. Inertial energy storage system. The engines that propel ships in high sea are attached with heavy flywheels to store and regulate rotational energy. The energy stored in the flywheels can be converted into electrical energy for uninterrupted power. It is required to develop a system that harnesses energy from the high inertial flywheels and stores it in the form of electrical energy for uninterrupted power to critical parts of the ship. Target tracking and collision avoidance system. Drones and unmanned aerial vehicles have become the go-to option for short and quick aerial surveillance and reconnaissance operations. Such UAVs are equipped with cameras and sensors to capture various ground movements in a battlefield or tactical environment. There is a need to develop an advanced AI/ML-based algorithm to identify and track ground targets. Also, an algorithm is required to avoid collision of UAV with objects such as trees, buildings, poles and vehicles. Miniaturization of electronic modules. Reduction in size, weight and power of onboard electronics and equipment is of utmost importance in the aviation industry. The processing units and communication electronics used in military aircrafts are outdated and extremely heavy when compared to commercial electronics. It is required to reduce the weight and power consumption of core electronics in aircrafts by using multi-core processors and FPGAs. Board sighting and alignment system. The effective exploitation of the weapons, modern avionics and navigation systems during an air combat or navigation depends on accurate calibration and harmonization of all its functional parts. Traditionally, the deviations introduced during manufacturing or installation of various onboard systems are precisely measured and corrected using optical collimators, which demands large man-hours and often prone to human errors. Therefore, it is proposed to design and develop a Bose sighting system which can harmonize aircraft navigation systems, aiming sensors and weapons accurately. AI-based training modules for aircraft technicians. Aircraft systems are very complex in nature, and the technicians require complete knowledge on all the systems in order to maintain safety and reliability of the aircraft. Also, the technicians are required to be periodically trained and kept updated about the snags that occurred on a particular aircraft and solutions applied. It is required to develop an AI/ML-based solution which learns about maintenance of a particular aircraft from the textual data and generate hypothetical scenarios for training the technicians on a specific aircraft. The solution should also evaluate the response provided by the technicians and provide feedback or recommendations. Structural health monitoring system for aircraft. Fighter jets and aircrafts are subjected to enormous force and temperature in each of their flights, which develops structural defects and deformation on the aircraft surface. At times, it is very difficult to identify the defects using the existing methodology in inaccessible areas. In some of the cases, dismantling or removal of structural members are required for thorough analysis, leading to increase in aircraft downtime. An advanced and effective AI-based non-contact technique is envisaged to identify cracks without dismantling of aircraft structure. Aero engine ignition system. The turbofan engines are one of the most complex combustion engines used to power the modern fighter aircrafts. The ignition system, particularly the spark plug, is operated in a very hostile environment inside the engine with high temperatures and pressure. There is a need to develop a reliable spark ignition system for the fighter aircrafts. Audio compression and decompression module. In order to efficiently transmit the multimedia data over a limited bandwidth network, various compression techniques are employed to effectively reduce the size of the data for transmission. With the ever-advancing signal processing and compression techniques, it is required to develop a modular software for compression and decompression of audio in compliance with AS/DSP 21060 standards. Adaptive data rate modem. Communication with aircrafts is carried out over a proprietary ultra-high frequency wireless network with the aircrafts acting as nodes. As the number of nodes increases, the networking infrastructure needs to accommodate them reliably without any issues. Also, the different data channels have different data rates for efficient transmission. The need of the hour is an adaptive data rate modem for proprietary mobile ad hoc networks. Real-time RADALT test platform. In modern aircrafts, radio altimeter is used to provide an accurate indication of the altitude of aircraft above the terrain. Radio altimeters are constantly undergoing design and development in order to improve their accuracy and power efficiency. Also, These radio altimeters are periodically calibrated for operational effectiveness. There is a need to develop a real-time test platform to simulate the operational environment and test the radio altimeters. Motion pattern classification. Understanding and recognizing the ship mobility pattern have a great significance for intelligent maritime applications. An advanced solution is required for the detection of various maneuvers in the ship mobility pattern based on the ship location, course and speed of active vessels in real time. The solution should be capable of identifying type of the vessel, movement pattern and duration of the pattern followed in the ship mobility path. Analysis of 3D GIS objects. Data for Geographic Information System (GIS) is usually obtained from various sensor sources and fused together in the form of meaningful data. The sensors are carefully placed in order to effectively capture the complete data. The geometry of the area covered by a sensor can be of regular or irregular shape. It is required to develop a software solution to provide visualization of sensor coverage area and overlapping percentage of area covered by multiple sensors. Helmet mount conformable antenna. Modern personalized communication systems are constantly evolving with the advent of a wearable and embedded devices. Traditional antennas on helmets are projected outward, which is hazardous to the personnel and often gets damaged because of its protruded form. Alternately, the helmet mount conformal antennas are envisaged for wideband operations, which does not require tuning to operating frequencies and provide high gain, which is desirable for many communication applications. These antennas can be positioned inside, outside or within the helmet without compromising the structural integrity of helmets. Robotic arm for tank maintenance on ships. Ships use multiple tanks to store fuel, oils, sludge, sewage, water and other fluids. The fluids and the impurities on them tend to stick to the surface of the tanks, which is cleaned periodically on the dry dock or whenever the inspection of the tanks are due. The cleaning process, when carried out by humans, tends to be hazardous, sometimes leading to explosion and accidents in spite of all the necessary safety precautions and enclosed space entry procedures due to the nature of fluids stored in the tanks. Hence, it is imperative to develop a robotic arm or other robotic system for autonomous inspection, cleaning and painting of tanks on ships. Bulk cutting of metal bars. Titanium alloys, special steel and superalloys are widely used in defense and various strategic sectors. These metal alloys are casted into large size ingots or semi-finished form such as metal bars or cylinders with over 400 mm thickness. These are cut in different sizes using electric discharge saws and band saws, which are a slow and tedious process. It is required to develop efficient, economical and fast cutting solutions for high strength metal bars. Data management solution for metallurgy. Special steel and metal alloys developed for defense and aerospace industries are subject to a variety of testing and certification procedures. The data of those tests are stored for a significantly longer period to track in case of any issues identified later. Currently, the testing and data storage process has been manual sample collection till test report generation. It is imperative to develop automated tests, efficient data storage and report generation solutions to digitize and optimize the complete testing cycle. Quality assessment of cast ingot. Non-destructive testing (NDT) consists of a variety of non-invasive inspection techniques used to evaluate material properties, components, or entire process units. The techniques can also be utilized to detect, characterize, or measure the presence of damages in metals. But currently, there are limited or no solutions available for quality assessment of large cast ingots for identification of defects such as voids, inclusions, internal cracks, etc. A solution is required to identify defects on cast ingots during production to improve quality and reduce rejections. Active roll stabilization system. Traditionally, warships are fitted with fin-type structures to stabilize roll on the ship using hydrodynamic effect. This method is not very effective, especially when the ships are moving at lower speeds. Also, the fins create significant unwanted drag, which increases the fuel consumption. An active roll stabilization system is required to control and balance the warships, which works across the operational speed of the ship and also in difficult environmental conditions. Robotic ship hull inspection. The hull of the ship is constructed by welding several parts of metal sheets together. Welding is considered to be one of the most critical and a large operation in shipbuilding. To ensure the quality of the welds, non-destructive tests are carried out extensively to identify the presence of any defects. This is largely a manual process which is extremely error-prone and time-consuming. It is required to develop an advanced robotics and AI-based solution to reduce the human dependency on hull testing. Intelligent DC supply distribution system. Ships have multiple machineries and equipment which operate on different input power ratings. So far, power distribution inside a ship is managed through conventional AC and DC power distribution boards. Particularly in DC distribution boards, low insulation from load and many parallel connections leads to damage of the distribution boards as well as the load. It is desired to develop an advanced DC power distribution system which is capable of providing visual and audio alerts for issues encountered. Insulation of galley equipment on ships. All the equipment used inside ships is heavily insulated to prevent electric leakages. Even a slight power leakage can become a huge problem since the entire ship is made using metal. While most of the critical equipment is well insulated to prevent power leakages, there are a few galley equipment which have low insulation. It is required to provide a generic solution to increase the insulation on galley equipment in order to reduce the risk of electric leakages and shock. EMI/EMC mitigation in naval ships. On ships fitted with high-power emitters on the decks, the radiated emissions could seep through the bridge and affect the sensitive and sophisticated electronic navigation communication equipment. There is a need to provide an active EMI/EMC cancellation and shielding system for critical areas of the ship, such as the bridge. Visual aid for landing on ship. Naval ships that operate helicopters need visual landing aids that enable the pilots for safe operation of the helicopters. In addition, for operation at night, standard and night vision goggle, compatible lighting and landing aids are used to ensure secrecy of flight operations without compromising safety. It is required to develop a modern and advanced system to guide the pilots for landing on ship in both day and night conditions. inviting startups, MSME, individual innovators, research and academic professionals to apply for this. Selected applicants will get grants up to 1.5 crores, along with the opportunity to co-create and co-develop the defense technologies of future with our armed forces. Besides the grant, selected winners receive product and business acceleration support from IDEX partner incubators. Access to defense facilities for QA and certification. Applications are open at idex.gov.in. Innovations for Defense Excellence, IDEX.